Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I'm your host Sean Garmer, and here with me today, GetSelious.
How you doing?
How
Are
are
you
you,
doing well?
man?
Doing good, buddy. How are
Uh
you?
Doing good. Of course, GetSelious does things for the Outer Haven. Also, you can catch him and usually with Scott over there, Sis Scott over there on the Outer Haven YouTube channel. They do a lot of great stuff over there. Trailer reactions, gameplay vids, all that stuff.
Reviews as well. We got the whole thing going on.
Reviews.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
y'all be doing everything over
yeah.
there. So if you can't check out the site or what these guys are doing, also on Twitch as well, GetSelious. So that being said, man, how are you doing?
Doing
It's
fantastic. It's a hot summer day. I managed to get like most of the day done before I got this taken care of because lordy lord, I was out there for like over 12 hours now.
wow.
Yeah,
Uh, Glad you were
because
able to survive it.
it's like I survived the brand new version of I don't know if I curse on your podcast, the new version of hell, the DMV. The DMV is the new hell. It was bad when I was younger. It's more bad than it is now. Uh,
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, over here where I live in Miami, they make you do the appointment thing now.
yeah, we
I
got
don't know
that
how
down
to.
here too. I did an appointment. I still had to wait through all that stuff, and then it was a fun ride. To put it that way. Luckily now they give you text messages so you don't fall asleep. You're like, oh, you got text message. Go to this booth. I'm like, that's fantastic, but geez.
Yeah, I'm still waiting here forever, so this doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
help me that much. But yeah, man. So there's quite a few things to talk about. If you didn't catch the latest Spec Mode podcast, which is Outer Havens podcast, I was on there with GetSelious here. So there's a little bit of a retread we're gonna do with the Xbox FTC stuff. At least now it's done, and we're just waiting for the decision to be made. So we'll give our,
yeah.
I guess, predictions on what's going to happen with that. Uh, you're reviewing or been not reviewing, but you've been playing a lot of Trails and Reverie.
Yeah, I've been
Uh,
playing a lot of that. Yeah, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But yeah, I've been playing that with that. Sif, I've done a trailer. I wouldn't say trailer. I've done a prologue video on stream live with Sif Scott, and it'll be up on YouTube soon. Just breaking it down and whatnot because I love the series, but I don't want to like grind the content and spoil it for everybody. You guys should definitely play. It's a good game.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll get in more in depth on that as well. And I've been playing more Final Fantasy 16. I'll talk about that, and of course some other things that on sort of a, I guess, light news week this week in video games. All of that after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right. So, just in case, so we can get this out of the way already. If this is your first time listening or 100th time listening, we appreciate you. Obviously, appreciate GetSelious being on here with me today. And you guys, for whether you watch on YouTube, you can go subscribe to W2 Network. That gets you basically everything we do in one place. So not only the Video Games to the Max here, you get what the Rowlets and Broadcasting folks do, which anytime basically they basically do the big movie of the week review. So whatever movie is happening, you can bet your bottom dollar that either Monday night or Tuesday it will be there for on the Damn You Hollywood. And we got the anime show Talk to Keiki, MMA show MMA for Marks, and Chapter Select has been coming back with the video game movies. They just did Prince of Persia and Ratchet and Clank. So if you like what they do, you can go check them out on the YouTube channel as well. Of course, if you just want to listen with your ears, which a lot of people love to do on podcasts, I still do all the time, you can do that. Just find whatever show that you like on the YouTube channel. You can just go find it on the audio side. We used to have a whole network channel, but our podcast host decided that was not something they wanted to pay for anymore. So they just basically did away with all those for everybody, which sucks, but whatever. We will come back stronger, even though they decided to do that. But either way, again, you can go and subscribe, Video Games to the Max, or Chapter Select, or Route to Broadcasting, whatever it is that you like from us. You can go do that individually on the audio side. And of course, check out the site, wtune.com, for all of our podcast posts. And then, yeah. So that being said, let's get into what we've been playing here. I kind of already mentioned it here. Your, I guess, big game that you've been kind of diving into.
There's a lot of big games I've been
well,
playing.
You've been playing a lot, but I guess to start, Trails Into Reverie, where does this land, I guess, on for people that are, every time there's a Trails game, there's like this big hype thing behind it. Everybody says, okay, we got to play the series. I have a bunch of the games, and then I've played Cold Steel here and there. I played this the Sky series here and there, but like I never really got into it. Like, where does this land in the series, I guess? Can you start from here?
So Trails of Reverie, you can kind of start from here, but I personally want to recommend it. But it is the end of the first arc, which is the arc of from Sky all the way to the end of Azure and Zero, and this is the end of that entire arc of Cold Steel. So that's one entire arc ended. For those who are fans of the series, you know that they're way ahead of us in Japan in release date, but we're catching up. So we're going to finish the arc here and then focus on the next game, which I think is the Kiseki Sin series. If I'm incorrect, Scott will kill me for that, but that I believe is what we're up to. So if you pick up Trails Into Reverie, they do a good job reminding who the characters are. There is a section where you can read the story, you want to go back to it, and they remind you who the key players are, from Lloyd to Rian, etc. So if this is the first game you're getting, it's a good way to get into. And if you like turn-based RPGs, it's good to go too. What makes Trails games very good compared to other RPGs is that it's a continuous game universe put together. Most RPGs or RPG games are maybe shared universe but one and doneers, such as games like Final Fantasy 16 is a one and done, Final Fantasy 7 is a one and done. I know I had multiple games that say that's a one and done, 8's a one and done, etc. Like, so these are like, you just pick it up, you're done, that's it. But there's like, if you wanted more world building and more investment and character growth development, you would definitely try into Trails of Reverie. It's definitely worth getting into. If you miss games of continuation or series story like that, up your alley, go get it. As you see me dabbing right there, it's up there for you. That's the one big game I've been playing. One of the big ones. I've also been playing a lot of Diablo 4, which is Diablo 4. Just don't want to get around that.
Yeah,
it's just good. There's no way to get around that. And I've been playing a lot lately. If you have come by to the stream, probably going to notice it from the link in the description. Twitch.tv GetSelious. I've been playing a lot of Bleak Sword DX, a minimalist kind of indie Souls-like game, which is really well done. The mechanics of things are pure. The only thing the game will actually hurt outside your hands is your eyes. There is a lot of photosensor in the game that's just there for no reason, in my opinion, but it's a solid game nonetheless. And I'll be finishing up the game soon, so check me out when I do it.
Man, that's quite a lot to be getting into there. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
I've been playing a lot of Power. So Power Chord a while back has released their final character update, which is Wither Moon. She is a stance character. Her abilities that she uses Sun Stance and Moon Stance. For every card you play that's a support, it increases the Moon gauge, essentially, or Moon ability, which that when she activates in Moon form, the charges that affect it go up. For example, let's just say you do, I'll keep it very simple, 1 weakness charge. But if you have 2 Moon charges in Moon form, you now do 3 weakness charges because you add 2 plus that. So that's really good. And the same thing for Sun form. You could play a bunch of attacks that increases the Sun gauge. And then when you activate Sun form and do Sun damage, there's a lot of damage. So it's a kind of a yin-yang kind of character. It's really cool. I've been grinding that. I think I'm up to distortion level 8 or 9 because of it. I've been on and off with the game, but it's a very, very good card roguelike that I think people should give a try out. I definitely think it's better than Wild Frost in a sense of balance and how it plays, but I definitely think Power Chord is really fun. It's made by the same people who made Foregone. So if you like Foregone, you like that company, the way they make games, you probably like Power Chord as well. And that's pretty much obviously the bigger games I'm playing, quote unquote, but like they're all relatively indie games, like except for Diablo. Gunfire Reborn we're playing because the spiritual ascent thing is really fun. I wish more people played Gunfire Reborn because there's so many people who like, man, I really wish Borderlands was good again. Gunfire Reborn, it's Borderlands in its purest root in a roguelike sense. It's no way to get around it. It's probably one of the best of its genre because of it. and I definitely recommend people try it out. There's also I just finished streaming Sam Max Save the World. I've beaten the game 1,000 times, so it's Sam Max, no way to get around it. And one game I always play is my casual game, my chill off game is Super Auto Pets. It doesn't matter if I win or lose Super Auto Pets. It's just play.
So I mean, like, you're always talking. I swear I see you talk about it on the chat, the Outer Heaven chat every now and then. Like, what is that really?
Super Auto Pets is a free to play auto battler where you pick up animals, you level them up, you develop strategies to win the game. Okay. Now, they made a lot of changes to the game, which is art and direction, where it used to be like you need 10 loses to win, but it would get down to 5. They made some changes, but it's still fun nonetheless. I mean, they actively balance it, so it's kind of interesting in that regard. But it's a fun auto battler. It's free to play. It isn't like, I would say, like a team fight tactics or Dota Underground, if people still play that, lol. Those games are just rage bait to make you feel bad. This game is like, oh, look, my cute turtle's like is a 21-21. Haha, I win the fight. No big deal. It doesn't feel like bad when you win or lose. It's just a good gameplay. And obviously, and the thing that makes it cool too is there's like much like other mobile games. There's a weekly stuff like, oh yeah, you can switch your animal pack or try a custom pack. You can play with your friends, lobby. It's a really good game.
All right. I don't know. I might have to try to sell my daughter on that one. So she's
it's really good. Yeah, it's on mobile. It's on Steam. It's just easy to play. There's nothing about it at all.
All right. Well, I'm probably really close to the end of Final Fantasy 16. So I know Scott was just saying that he beat it last night. So
yeah, it's a pretty short game. My brother beat it as well. So
Yeah, especially if you mainline and you don't do a lot of the side quests. It's a little
bit, as well as like, because there's no insult to the game. If you are really good at character action games game like, Assault Spy, any Devil May Cry, arguably old school God of War, or even Bayonetta to a degree. And I'm not a fan of Bayonetta as much, but it's like, if you're good at character action games, you'll figure out a lot of this game pretty easily. Like how to do your launcher combos, grew to impact, how to use iframes. There's a lot of this game that's pretty nutty, but it's super fun. I played a bit at my brother's house today before I went out to the DMV hell. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been loving is the combat. I've done all the hunts and all the other stuff, and it's because the combat's so good. I want to keep playing it. So plus when you get that Berserker ring, giving you an actual reason to like want to dodge attacks, just to dodge them, so you can basically go on limit break for 5 seconds every time you do it. Genius.
Yeah,
move.
Essentially, if you play Cry, that's if you hit the perfect trickster or teleport after attack, get the perfect counter hit. I personally, as a Royal Guard Psycho, I use Rock Form to parry everything to get meter because I play too much Devil May Cry 3 and 5. Like, I could even hear myself. My brother was like, "You just do Royal Guard." He's like, "You're just gonna do it. Royal Guard," and just like getting JoJo hands. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I tried because my brother unlocked mostly everything. I tried all of them. There's in this game there isn't a, like, I would say each build is quote unquote bad or whatever is the best. All of them good because all have their own iframes, but it's like abuse iframes, but it's like they're all solid. And I call them what they are. Garuda is Nero build, you pull people in. Flame build is regular Trickster. Right. Ifrit. Earth build is Royal Guard. That's what it is. And Shadow build is essentially Virgil can summon swords. When you hit a perfect parry or dodge, you're able to put a lightning on top of them, which stands on the opponent's head. It's a sword Damocles, and you just hit them down. Yeah, FF16 is great. I recommend people try it. If you're not into character action games, it's really well done.
Yeah, and I think it goes the other way too. If you're not into RPGs, I think this is one you could play without like, I got a friend from work who's not a big RPG fan. He likes more like the God of Wars and that kind of thing. He's like, "Oh man, I'm totally down with this. I want to play more." He's like, "I don't want to be working right now. I want to be playing that game." I'm like, "Well, I'm the same way." So it's fun to be able to talk to a friend that doesn't play these games very much, to be able to say, All right, how far are you? Where are you at? So that's good. I think they've accomplished what they wanted, which is to get a bigger audience for Final Fantasy, as far as like I guess more general populace, not the niche audience that will always buy a Final Fantasy. Which, when that happens, you get the Final Fantasy hardcore fans that get upset because it's now no longer just for them. But
That never really existed.
Yeah.
That was manufactured. As I said before in the podcast, it's like there are fake people who say things like that for the controversy. Like there are no turn-based games. I just talked about Into Reverie. There's no turn-based games. There's this way the madness lies. You're not looking for it. You're just being lazy. Don't say that. Like for example, the only thing I find funny though is off random notes is if you buy Final Fantasy 16, I think the physical version, you get a code or a copy for Final Fantasy 14, and the service of Final Fantasy 14, which I also play, has been jammed up, and it's like, damn it, Yoshi P, you're suffering from success again. Like people are playing Final, which is in my mind,
Right.
14 is probably the best MMO in the market right now.
But
it's also a single player game,
Yeah. I mean that's the thing too. Like I want to play 14 because I love Final Fantasy that much, but I'm just like I don't have the time, and
the sad part you could just play it through the single most of when people think about MMO is the MMO part of 14 is the end game content. A lot of it is just you can just play the game and go to the MSQ, the main story quest, and enjoy the game, and it's really good. So it's like there is no forced component telling you, oh yeah, you have to, and I mean this on ironically, you're not going to get further in the game until you actually do this 12-man raid on Mythic and do the Mega Protocol, which is the hardest dungeon. Don't do it, please, in order to progress. No, that stuff is all end game content. That's all end game. You are not going to hit that anytime soon. What you can just play the game, grind it for like 3 months, do the main quest storyline, and be like, all right, I'm done. See you guys never. I'll wait till the next time story quest. That's it. And it tells people who do that, by the way. It's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about like I have to. And by the way, even makes it better. For each dungeon, you can choose to play with NPCs. You can play Final Fantasy 14 avoiding real people the whole time. I'm not okay. You can play with avoiding people the whole time. That's right. If you're truly antisocial, this is a game for you.
Yeah. That's totally like the antithesis of an MMO, right? So that's pretty
to a certain degree. I mean, you are massively playing online, just not with people. If you want to, like I said, yeah.
I mean, but do you think like I've heard Realm Reborn is kind of like the worst part of it?
No, that's incorrect. The worst version of the game from a story standpoint, at least from my experience, is Stormblood, but you get through that's fine. Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward is, my opinion, until you get Shadowbringers and Endwalker, is peak story content. It is insanely good how well they're written with the music and everything. I mean, no spoilers to not Realm Reborn, to Heaven's Ward. There's one character who essentially lives off the idea of vengeance, and then you see him change over time through his story and arc or whatever. And the best part about it is the subtleties of the background change as well, such as the shadow of his armor you don't see anymore. You see the light shining on it as he talks about giving up his wrathful ways. Good writing. Again, Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward is peak writing for them. And then, like I say, Shadowbringers and Endwalker. But Stormblood to me is the weakest. It's not the worst, which is the weakest. But no, it would be Stormblood. Just because the villain doesn't feel like a villain.
Yeah, that's kind of important when it comes to like so. That being said, I mean that's it for me as far as I'm trying to like just kind of push through Final Fantasy so I could review it and then kind of be done with it and move on to other things because I'm kind of behind on the review stuff, but I didn't want to get like, oh, let me catch up on everything and then I'm playing Final Fantasy 16 like 3 months from now. So yeah, the life of having to do things for content all the time. So that being said, I guess let's get into the it's not a lot of news because everything was basically built around the whole Xbox FTC thing, which I don't think we need to rehash that again. I think we both know where each other stands on this. I will say there was some interesting stuff from the last couple days because the last time I recorded with Hayes last week, we were kind of like at the break in between. So there's been quotes from both Jim Ryan and Satya Nadella kind of taking a stand and saying things. Jim Ryan, of course, his big quote was that he believes everybody hates Xbox Game Pass, basically, and that
that's highly misconstrued. But yeah, I know where you stand on that one. No, it's highly misconstrued. But yeah, I know what he said about that.
And that Xbox Game Pass is value destructive, which
that is very true. That is not even like a haha. That is very true.
Well, I was going to, I guess, dive a little bit deeper in that. Like, so you pretty much answered one of my questions already. Do you think there is no other way where it's not value destructive to you? There's no positives?
None
for Xbox Game Pass?
No, from it, and as you seen me talk before, you from the past I'm an indie guy. I got into indie gaming, gaming since whatever, but it's like it's value destructive in the sense that basically, a very easy example. Final Fantasy 16. It's what, $70, right?
Right.
What's the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? $25, $30?
17 now.
17 now. Xbox Ultimate $17 a month. You have cut down. If I'm polite, I'll say cut down $10 price tag because you want the PS4 version of 16, which doesn't exist. But let's say you put the PS4 version at $60. You have disrupted 2/3 of value of the creation of the games being sold on the market. That is value destructive in a nutshell. In the purest form, that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yes, I do agree with you on the AAA sense, which is why we don't really get that many.
From an indie standpoint, it's also value destructive because you're kind of flooding your things with the indie games. And as an indie gamer who search out and create content for indie stuff, they use Xbox Game Pass. Their algorithm and how the recommendation is very weak compared to Steam. And I hate to say it, I hate these guys a lot. Epic Game Store, they're weaker than that. So it just feels like it's just like stuff in there. It's like a never-ending warehouse. It's value destructive in the sense that unless the creators of the game are marketing whatever, because they already got paid to make the game, put it there. That's for an indie dev, that's probably a payday in itself. Like, great, we made something and then we got paid for it. Fantastic. Value destructive in that secondary sense, where you try to generate social value or value through the game. The thing about what makes Xbox Game Pass ultimately value destructive at the end of the cost is that once you get enough people to accept the idea of the subscription pass method, you now devalue everything else around it. This is the same fear off tangent, the idea of AI in general. AI is value destructive because it makes people think less of artists who create things. Hell, you've probably seen the gaming news that some gaming websites are willing to use AI-generated text to create articles from them, which devalues people. If you're okay with that, you are now making it seems like it's socially and acceptable to devalue people for what they're worth to pay AI cheaper. That's what the Game Pass does socially. You're socially saying it's okay that all games should be under a subscription method at the fraction or a third of the value compared to doing it or shipping it themselves. And that's social destruction and that is value destruction in a nutshell. That is exactly, he is 100% right from that. There is no like, haha, secondary about it. Just it is. And the thing is that Microsoft, if they own first party companies and they put it on the Game Pass and that first party company has an open deal with other people, you can see how that would be unfair in the value destruction net, right? Because why would I pay $60, $70 for a game if I could just pay $20 a month or $17 a month, you said, and then slap, party's over. That's you're essentially cutting a third of 2/3 of the original value, which is very dangerous from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, which is why Bobby Kotick was very adamant when he took the stand of, listen, I don't have to like it, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I wouldn't put anything in Game Pass or PS Plus because, again, he feels, just like you said, that it not only devalues it, but also he can't get the money that he wants out of that series, which is, one of the biggest series in gaming. So why would you? Yeah. Here's
the thing about good old Bobby. It doesn't matter what Bobby says. You know why?
Yeah.
Because if it happens, remember what this actually is. This isn't a merger where they are combining the resources to have equal say. This is an acquisition. I purchase you. I could do what I want. So it doesn't matter at that point. I'm being serious.
Right.
is
I
an
mean, and he
acquisition.
probably also knows that at some point his days there are numbered.
Oh, Bobby's.
If that
Everyone hates
happens, right?
Bobby. Everyone
Yeah.
hates Bobby. He was a booby to begin with. Bobby. The problem is like that's the thing about acquisitions. Now, if Microsoft made merger deals where the other company has equal say into the output of it, I'd be like, fine, whatever. This is work of democracy in a nutshell. This is great, but it's not. These are acquisitions. So at the end of the day, Microsoft will be the one to determine the value of the position to be in, and that's one of the proponents' scary parts of it, quote unquote scary.
Right, exactly. What you're saying is, I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to determine this whole thing. Is you're taking probably perhaps the biggest third-party publisher that there is in video games, and then bringing it into the fold for yourself, and then putting a lot of those games on Game Pass. And obviously Jim Ryan is against that, because even though Microsoft's saying, oh, we'll put it on PS Plus even if you want, he's like, I kind of don't want that, because then I have to share revenue with you.
Not even share revenue. I also partake in value destruction.
Yeah.
Jim Ryan being actually the better capitalist in that argument, because it's like, if I participate in capital destruction, I also devalue the other things I want to. And we're not going, and by the way, this devaluing of products and assets is a process of these common denominator that's famous in I don't want to get to your personal life. You may live around the Florida. In Florida, that's Walmart's rule for a reason, because they're least common denominator. They have devalued other markets to do what they do. That is a scary situation to be in. That is, to me, the antithesis of competition in some degree. There's something wrong with having a big box, or a big box store, or a big box Switch service. I'm okay with that. That's we all cool with that. But when you start devaluing other assets around you to be able to one, that's when I go like, whoa, buddy, what are you doing here? Can you stop that, please? Please? Yeah. And that's yeah.
I mean, for you, like, it does. So you don't feel like it even helps. Like, okay, we're both indie gamers. We like indie games. You more than I do, as far as like how far down the indie hole you go. Like, for me, that's what I love about Game Pass, is being able to try out these indie games and find ones that I like, and then maybe if I like it a lot, I'll go and buy it on my Switch or whatever, because I like to have things portable.
Yeah, but that's you second dipping, and even then,
right.
A lot of indie games have also provided demos on other platforms you can try out too, so you can actually give them your money and not do this third party thing. The issue is that you have to, rather than the marketing team of Steam, Nintendo, Sony, whoever, you are essentially being boxed into this system. That's the thing. That's the problem. As from an indie perspective, yes, I'm okay with indie developers getting their payday for this game, whatever. But how long the game will survive, people don't find out, compared to finding a game elsewhere. And that's the scary part, as well as because Microsoft controls the Xbox Game Pass algorithms I mentioned earlier, isn't that strong in recommending games or strong enough to provide that to people. So I'm just being fed to whatever the system offers me, no matter what I do. A perfect example of this is I don't think I talked about this earlier, right? Bleak. Yeah. Have you heard about Bleak Sword DX? Great indie game, Souls-like. I may have talked about it before, but it's like, yeah, it's on Xbox Game Pass. When I look up numbers for it, it's not like it's abysmal compared to it was launched a couple weeks ago on Steam. So, and on Steam it's doing pretty well. So when I look at the numbers, I go like, this is Devolver Digital, by the way, probably one of the big house indie publishers there, next to like Raw Fury. So Devolver Digital can't make a footprint on Game Pass, but on all platforms they do. This is the thing that, like, destructive value in a nutshell. That's what it is. It's not that it takes away money. It takes away social value and the ability for the developer to gain a foothold to reach their market in some way that things blow up. Like, this is a true story. So one of the most games that came out of nowhere, people quote unquote came out of nowhere, is the Yakuza series, right? Baka Mitai Man. Hell, that's his name now. Baka Mitai Man. So Baka Mitai Man has been on Sony and PS3 for years, right? Having a small niche audience. Let's be super fair about that. They blew up around the PS4, Xbox 360 era, and Steam era, right? They blew up, you know why they blew up on PS4 outside of meme culture and everything? That's true. Also, them also being free and being promoted. That helps. Microsoft doesn't really do that as much on their platforms as when you use them, and that's kind of a problem. when you're a big box only care about volume. They're not caring about the quality of their volume. And that's why I don't believe in the value or the like Xbox Game Pass is okay. Like, I think it's like there are things they could do to make it better, like as I said just earlier, fixing the algorithm and everything. But it's like, from an indie development standpoint, how will I get noticed on this platform that does almost nothing, aka Twitch? Haha, I'm just kidding. Twitch is fine. Please don't ban me. But that's the thing. Like that. No, but that's the thing, right?
And then also, I think to their point is like, okay, now you're getting Activision's Blizzard's games on here. Right. How much further down does that push the indies? Because now you're getting a library of games that are almost all of them are known.
And cult classics. I mean, can you imagine? Like, and I do mean this. The D4 community on Xbox will triple. I do mean that. The Overwatch community, though people Overwatch saying it's a dead game. Look, shooter bros, no offense to you people, you guys are freaking cavemen. If it has gun and go, you will play it. I am not joking. I'm not insulting you. You know what you are.
No, they definitely know.
It's like shooter bros, once Overwatch is available on Xbox Game Pass, save the game. Done. Easy deal. World of Warcraft on Game Pass, hell, they can even tie a subscription to it. Boom, done, right? And that's the thing about it. They're going to be focused more on promoting their acquisition things at the other than the wayside. So it just feels really hard for indie people across the board. I think that, like I said, there's nothing wrong with indie developers going to producing it because, again, if Microsoft pays them, it's a bag, it's good, it secures them, it makes it help them do the project in the future or pay for marketing or, do what a lot of developers do. They put the game on Steam, make enough money, and then port it to other consoles, things like that. That's cool. I'm okay with that. I mean, or even port it to mobile. And that's a whole new market that's happening out there. But from my opinion, it's like, I don't think Xbox Game Pass is really helpful to indies unless they fix their algorithm and what they do per proponent to users in the algorithm. I mean, people like myself, you, other people play indies, maybe oh god, there's another guy who plays indies I respect a lot. This game indies, there's a bunch of people. So it's like, it's very, very hard to me justify that making Microsoft bigger is good for indies. It's not. It doesn't. They're barely held by indies now, so making them bigger for indies is just even be like a bet, cracking them back further in the line, as you said earlier.
So, I mean, moving to, I guess, the other kind of big statement from Satya and Nadella, which obviously part of it's a shot at Sony, right? Because of what they do as far as getting the third party exclusives and trying to outbid for that and everything. So Satya is just basically saying, like, look, we wouldn't have exclusives if it wasn't because of the third party ones, I should say, because of what Sony does. I'd love to live in a world where there's no exclusives, but the way our competitor doesn't play that game. Do you think we could ever actually live in a world we don't have third party exclusives if everybody wanted to play fair?
Well, the only way that would happen is we make a giant super console. We all work together. And we're not in Star Trek yet, so no. But in my opinion, I hated that complaint because what you're complaining about is how the modes of our system works. The thing is that if you're really upset about that, then you have to prove that they're playing underhanded dirty. You have to prove in the court of the United States that you're in right now that they're finagling, like they're going into like people's offices and breaking their computers. Says, hey, Baba the Goo, you better pay me my video game, capiche? Doing things like that. But they're not. So it's one of the things that I always hate this type of complaining because it doesn't. I'll be real frank here. You're bitching about the capitalism is working and the rules set that you guys are okay with because you're doing it as well. Like you bought these other companies that it's not possible. You're doing the same thing too. It's just like you're not as successful currently in the last 5 years doing so, which is a whole different situation we'll get into. But I think that that was such a cheap shot because what you're really saying is that, well, it's bad when they do it because they winning and not good we do it. Like, dude, if you were good at the thing you're doing, this wouldn't be a problem. And the thing is, like, if there was a world with no exclusivities, then again, there'd be a super console, Star Trek, and all that jazz. I just think that the time exclusive deal that people have been doing now is probably the best we're going to get. Like, I know that Final Fantasy 16 is a PS5 exclusive, but within like maybe 6 months or a year, I could see it on Steam or whatever, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the best we're going to get in the modern world we're going to get now because we have to drive the number has to be driven up. And console exclusivities don't bring as much money as used to, as provided by this court case, and even in the past. It's just exclusivity is a way to get FOMO or I would say the driven fan base to get it. But the casual gamer or the people get it will get it on their preferred platform or whatever. And the thing too is that, the problem I hate with this court case is Nintendo isn't or is the competitor, right? Right. And I dislike that argument because it's like it goes both ways, and none of them talk about Nintendo's business policy. Nintendo's policy is purely exclusives and purely in-house. And Jim Ryan has made a quote saying that being self-reliant is good in this industry, which he's trying to make Sony into, which is good because the self-reliant model that's done by Nintendo makes some buco bucks. So I don't see a problem with that. It's like I feel like this is, and we're probably gonna get into this maybe later into the thing, but what Microsoft deems unfair isn't unfair, and what is truly unfair. Like that's the thing. You feel morally it's unfair, or it's unfair that they're doing something. Like unfair, as I suggested earlier, like they're Sony and Jim Ryan in their pinstripe suits kicking down Bethesda and kicking poor Todd Howard in the knees. And you better give me my Skyrim mug. You be done, capiche? Something like that. That's you get what I'm saying though. Like you would have to actually provide evidence of element of unfair coercion that's done by Sony that puts them on top. And then also provide that Nintendo's in-house strategy is also unfair because everything they do is in-house.
Well, I mean, Nintendo's strategy is not unfair because, again, they focus on themselves.
But it becomes unfair. I mean, how am I going to compete? They launched Mario in the summer, and Mario wins the whole summer. Breath of the Wild came out, and there's nothing keeping to that. You see, like the same logic can be applied, and that's the thing I don't like about the thing I don't like about the Microsoft thing is that I don't really kind of care if they get Activision or not. It's the logic they're applying and thing they're doing doesn't sound fair. It sounds like a bunch of whiny children complaining about what's unfair, rather than you're also participating in the system. That's the problem I have. It's like you don't have sound logic for what you're doing. You're just like wham, give me something because the other guys are too good. I'm like, bro, that's not how this works. You would have to prove that they're doing something illegal, like illegal,
Right, and that's not really what I mean. Even the judge mentioned it's not really about whether it's illegal or not. It's Microsoft has a point, but like you said, the way they're going about it is not the greatest. I mean, the judge even snapped back at one of the FTC lawyers. Oh, but if they get Call of Duty, it's going to be bad. Well, what? Oh, so when Sony grabs exclusives, it's not bad. So. That's the thing is, I get Microsoft's point in that some of these developers are not going to want to work with them because they've always worked with Sony, or they're not Japanese, or
which is also bad faith by them because what they're admitting is that they're unwilling to negotiate or create things. The world is much bigger than Japan and US. We've actually found out the data, according to the court cases, that Microsoft is the biggest powerful console in America. There's Canada, there's Mexico. SNK, one of my favorite gaming companies, SNK is super popular in Mexico. Just saying. There's Europe, there's Eastern Europe, we can't talk about that country because they're fighting the country. There's them, there's India, there is Southeast Asia. If you're an anime person, you must have found out recently there's a huge market within the Philippines and Southeast Asia scene. That's why the whole VTuber thing's blown up down there too. There's all these markets that you're not tapping into. It's like you're focusing on Japan. And by the way, this is true. Japanese people have weird tastes in games. WarioWare is popular in Japan. Why? I don't know. It's popular.
It's weird.
It's weird. Exactly. So, and they look at us over here. It's like, oh man, these guys love jumping and shooting and whatever, right?
Right.
No, and I that's what I hate about that. It's just not.
It took a very long time for that not to be the majority thought of what American gamers play. All y'all do is play shooters, like that's.
Well, that was mostly because of the Xbox Live era and like the mass marketing, but gaming over here has always been like it's always been diverse. I mean, you have people like me who play indies and point-and-click adventure games, for God's sake, and then you give your shooter bros and RPG guys, et cetera, et cetera. I just feel like the problem with Microsoft is that they're like, this is unfair for Japan, blah blah. It's like, bro, we have a giant world of developers. They're a new fighting game is coming out called Pocket Bravery, developed by like a team of guys in Brazil, and it's really good. Why have you tapped into the Brazilian market? Why have you tapped into South America, Mexico, there's Canada, there is Southeast Asia, the Philippines. there is a whole world besides US and Japan. And you say Europe too. And it makes me show like how small-minded they think about marketing and expansion is. That's the thing I'm pointing out. Like we have a huge world of gaming, and they think so smallly into like these two or three critical areas.
I mean, there's I always see the Xbox South Korea guy complain, and he has the right to complain that they don't even translate a lot of their games into other languages that
you see
might want to play their games because
you see you're complaining about me being unfair. You can't even supply your own basic consumers. This is why I'm not a fan like Microsoft doing this, because it's like, the old saying, clean your house before you throw windows, whatever. But it's like, I get it. You want to expand. I definitely think it's your right to expand. I'm worried about the effective expansion, but that could be discussed, etc. But the way you're going to do expand is this whiny, complaining, nasally way of doing it is bad for you and is bad for the rest of the business, because it allows the floor for justification to be cheaper. Like, you can just can you imagine I'm not gonna, this will probably never happen, but Sega's like, well, it's unfair that Atlas can't make enough RPGs like Square Enix does. You should give me an extra $10 billion loan bank. When? Sure, buddy. I guess that's the way it is. But you see how ridiculous that is. And I think that the part that makes it about Microsoft is them, Microsoft, it's like their logic and the way they're going about it is very uncouth. It's unsound. And I think that there are many better ways they could have gotten the situation they're in now, at least make it betterly plausible. Oh, and go ahead.
Sorry, and another thing that's come up. It's been a thing for a while because Baldur's Gate 3, Larian's been very upfront about why there's not an Xbox version and all that stuff. I mean, but now it's kind of come to the forefront because they showed the release dates, or the up forward release date of the PC version, and then the delayed by a week version of the PS5, and then of course it's brought up the whole, again, why is there no Xbox version? Why is there no Xbox version? Well, Larian came out and said basically that it has to do with the whole Microsoft, the Series S and Series X have to have the same components in them every time there's a game. There can't be stuff missing from the Series S version.
Right, exactly, that's a production issue which can be resolved in many different ways. But that's a production issue, 100%.
Do you think that Microsoft should remove that whole thing and just say, look, this is going to be kind of like the Switch. Like, there's going to be some things that just don't run on it.
I mean, that would be a hard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say it's a hard bullet to fight, though.
Or is it because that's the system that keeps selling, so they have to keep having this? They have to have the same thing.
Okay, so this is actually my internal thinking of this, because I saw this debate happen on Twitter a while back, and my honest opinion is that if they decide to say, screw it, we got to uniform the Xbox Series, right? Mm-hmm. They would have to bite the bullet and admit some kind of, or resell, or some way to get a downgrade, or refund the customer fan base for this, right? That would be, right. I don't know if I'm willing to do that, but they would have to do something like that. But if they keep it the way it is, they will have to put a priority of which Xbox Series is the one they want to be in value. It is a soft nudging you have to do the right way. A perfect example of soft nudging would be the Sony strategy. Sony has always soft nudged their fan base since PS1 all the way to PS5 to get what they want. They were still making games at PS1 until PS2, and then certain catalysts happened. You got to get a PS2. From PS2 to PS3, etc., to 4 and 5, etc. They're still making games for the former console, but they softly nudge you to get the new one, instead of just abandoning the entire former console, as Microsoft has done, which is its own strategy in itself. But you definitely, I think you'll probably agree that you think if they were able to soft nudge their fan base into, or their consumers into, getting an upgrade, that's a lot better than the situation they're in now.
Right. I mean, and it doesn't mean that they have to just, I think there's certain games where you're going to have to make the sacrifice and say, okay, do we just not want this game to come out on Xbox Series at all?
Right. And that's the
end.
That's the, yeah. And I think, and the thing is, the thing with Microsoft is, up to this point, they have always did new console, abandon the other one. And now they're in a situation where that's too costly. Even Sony's still keeping the PS4. Et cetera, right? So it's like, you have to find ways to soft nudge and get your fan base to buy the upgrade through any means, rather than the way they're in now. Again, this is a lot of business stuff, and it takes a lot to get into that, such as production, software components, dev kits, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that they're going to have to figure out themselves, of saying, okay, look, we'll sell this to you, but it's not going to have split screen co-op on Series S. And you got to make that very apparent to anybody that has a Series S that.
And then you say, like, and the thing too is that, like, what components you consider givable or ungivable to the one to the other, right? Which is a whole different argument, right? It's like, yeah, like, we got Diet Coke at home and it's Dr. Pip, like, that's not happening, all right?
Yeah,
yeah, it's not happening. Yeah, so it's like, I feel like there is a lot of technological space for it, as well as also, again, I'll go back to indie devs. Indie devs will probably have to make that'll be a harder cost on them, because they have to choose because dev kits don't come cheap. All right, let's just call that spade a spade. So there's a reason why they're more prevalent on PC, but it's like they have to like make a decision to like get a kit and then promote their game to the best platform has the most sales. If the weaker platform has the most sales, then they're probably going to commit to that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is that they're pushing the Series S as the Game Pass machine. So it's very hard for them to be like, oh, but yeah, there's going to be this game that you can't play on it, at least with your friends anyway. And then like you start allowing it one time, so you keep allowing it for other games too, and then it becomes like you have to make a whole list of of modes and things you can't play if you bought a Series S. And I think that's what they're trying to avoid. And they're just saying, look, there's this one game that unfortunately it just will come out whenever it comes out. If Larian can ever figure out how to get it to work on both, or do they just decide that, hey, if you can't get it to work on both, then forget it. We just release it without. I don't know if they make a Game Pass deal with them to say, okay, because of the lost revenue that you think you might have if you release it without the split screen co-op, here, we'll pay you extra money. Just go ahead and release it without that, or whatever. Like they had to do with Halo, right? Microsoft doesn't say that's what it is, but that's what it is, that they couldn't get split screen co-op to work on Xbox One and Series S. So they said, screw it. We're not even going to release split screen co-op at all.
And the sad part about it is that when you do things like that, or if that ends up being the case with the developer, they're eating a social blow because of that.
Right. Because the nastiness is going to come from them saying, oh yeah, it's on Xbox, but sorry, it's not going to have this. Oh my God, the crap that's going to come after that is terrible.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is a situation where, it goes back to Jim Ryan saying that the value destruction of Game Pass is real. Not only just physical monetary, as I described earlier, is also social repercussion for that, which is, again, like, it is value destructive to some cosmetic level. Like, yes, the consumer gets a value from it, but the consumer also gets a value for buying big, like 12 bag of chips from, like, from Costco or whatever, right? But it's like, what is the real value from it, And it's like, that's kind of the problem. Like, and the only thing is that Microsoft will have to do, again, the value destruction mostly comes from the fact is the social ability from taking the norm from it, lowering the idea of cost of games to people's heads. And in this case, it could be the developer taking a blowback because Xbox owns them and says, hey, the Game Pass version will be the slightly inferior version compared to the version that we want to promote. And it's a very, very, like, not a good thing. It's just like, it makes me sigh in relief, because it's like there are so many ways they could do this better. And it's like, oh, this hurts. Oh, this hurts.
Okay. That was going to be a question of, you're saying it's right. What is a way that they could do it where it's not value destructive?
Value destructive would actually be that the Xbox Game Pass works like, I would say, PlayStation Plus or some other online subscription, but all the games there are valued. Like, you have to probably go backwards a bit. So Xbox Game Pass, to make it unvalue destructive, one, as I mentioned earlier, the algorithm for people finding games or games they want to play, etc., has to be guided by the user into it. Basically, like the Steam algorithm. A perfect example is if you boot up Steam right now, and I boot up Steam right now, and we look at games recommended for us, we'll see two different things. We could be looking to test that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see two different things. That's the first step. Second step for them to actually make money is, stop being Microsoft. I know, I'm just kidding, not really. So second step would be that they'll have to have better pay. I was better payout across the board, but that's internal monetary situation. They also would have to make sure that they run concurrent. I would say that they would have to create. They actually have a two-tier system: Game Pass and Ultimate Pass, right?
Right.
You would have to make that Ultimate Pass has the higher end indie games, and Game Pass has the generic indie games. So basically, if you're paying, let's say normal Game Pass is $9.99. I think it's like 14, but I think it's like $9.99, right?
Well, it went up to, I think, 11 now.
So, 11 now. Oh boy. So games under the 12 indie games are under the $12.13 mark. All go there. Ultimate Pass, you get that, and the higher end indie games. Or the higher end games within that price point. So that what you pay for, regardless of how many games you pay per month or play, you're getting the value that it's worth. And it's equal 1-to-1. That's the best I can say you could do for it. For AAA games on it, that's a whole 9-hour argument, because then you have to I don't think you should make a tier 3 Game Pass, because at that point just buy the game. But that's the first two steps just from an indie standpoint, because I'm an indie guy. That's what I care about.
Right.
Like AAA games, it's really, and again, backroom deal between those guys and them shaking hands,
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's why we haven't seen. That's one of the reasons also why Microsoft is trying to do all of this, is because the amount of money that they have to pay to get a big third-party game on Game Pass is starting to become not worth it for them and also for that developer, because it doesn't matter how much money Microsoft gives. There is so much money that they lose from basically nobody buys, not nobody, but a lot of people choose not to buy it on Xbox because it's on Game Pass.
Right. And that's and the thing is that they have to pay that much money to convince them to the value destruction point earlier to be on them. It's like, I want Game Pass, man. I mean, people it's not going to help me. I'd rather just sell it in the open market. So,
for them, the whole getting, say, 30,000 or 30, whatever many million active users for that game for a week doesn't really do them anything if nobody buys anything from it. Especially the single player only ones. Now, Outriders or some other multiplayer first games that have been on there, it actually does help them because you're trying to get the most people playing as much as possible. But that's also why Sony is doing their thing with getting all these games and services, because, we could put those on PC day and date and get a bunch of players or whatever. I don't know about if them putting it on PS Plus, if they're going to do that or not, but that's a whole different can of worms. The problem is most of the games that people want, that they keep clamoring for, I went on Game Pass, are the big third parties that are just not going to come. So Microsoft says...
that's a business situation. It's a Microsoft issue. Literally, you could be mean, say skill issue, but that's on them. But it's that's kind of the thing. No developer within the AAA or I would say even AA, but even the AAA space will ever use it. That's why Jim Ryan's right in that degree, because it's you have to give me, let's just say, let me think of this. What are the sale? You probably know about this. The sale numbers for FF16, are they within
3 million on that? 3 million on the first 3 days week, or something like that. Yeah,
3 million the first 3 days. So if I was good old Phil Spencer, and you're Square Enix, I paid you 3 million. Is that going to cover the lifetime of a game?
No.
Now you see the value destruction argument. It's real, man.
And even if you get paid a percentage per the amount of people that download the game,
right?
Whatever,
and percentage per download. That number could be changed, like Netflix for active users.
Look at the amount of artists that complain about how much they get paid on Spotify per whatever download, or
exactly. 100%, my guy. And that's the thing. It's they would of course. Oh, I can't believe they paid them money. Of course you have to pay them money,
Of course, yeah, duh.
You have, because you're paying them for a lifetime. the thing is, like, the reason why it works for indie developers, because indie developers, no offense, I love them all, the great guys, they need to get cash in the car so they can start continuing their projects and grow bigger, right? So they're willing to take this. But other people are like, are you out of your mind? This is you for $3 million for one lifetime. Like, I could sell this. Like, you think Sega, like, oh god, for Yakuza, like, oh god, Yakuza 7 sold well. Yakuza 8's gonna sell well. Gaiden 8's gonna sell well. It's like, yeah, I'll take the 10 million. I'll take the $5 million. No, it's gonna make money throughout his entire lifetime. And it's not like Microsoft is gonna do a renewing deal that says we're gonna pay you $3 million every year to keep it on Game Pass or something, right? They're not gonna do that because that'll make them lose money.
Right. I mean, I think Yakuza's a different case because they actually took them off Game Pass and they paid to put them back on again. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a series that actually has benefited from Game Pass as far as
as I said the story before, it benefited from the internet and Sony, but mostly the internet.
Right. No, I agree from the start. Like Yakuza 0 blew it up. That's not that. There's nothing that can change that. I'm talking about just from. They put them on Xbox basically knowing that those games are going to basically go into Game Pass. Remember, some of these games weren't even on Game Pass on Xbox to begin with, right? So
they got the one.
They basically got money to say, okay, please port this game over to Xbox and put it on Game Pass or whatever. Right. But that's a unique thing because they have such a good deal with each other, right? Like Sega and Xbox have this like working relationship that kind of like Square and Sony, like they kind of
Sega plays ball with everyone. Literally, they play ball with almost everyone.
They do, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like they like Microsoft in a way that a lot of the other developers don't, or want to play with them in that way of like, sure, we'll take Game Pass, right? But it's not going to go. So like Yakuza 8 is not going to go on Game Pass day one. It's going to show up 6 months later or whatever, and they'll get their fun of being in there, get more people playing, whatever. But they're definitely going to test the market of how many people are actually going to buy this now. Now that you've had all these other games on Game Pass, are you going to now buy this day one on your Xbox, right? That'll be the ultimate show of, does this actually work? But to kind of wrap it up as far as the whole this thing, now we're kind of just waiting on the decision, right? The decision that's going to determine whether or not this thing continues, because Bobby Kotick said it himself that if the FTC grants the injunction, which would basically put this past the July 18th deadline, they are not going to renew. They are walking. That's it. It's over. Yeah. And there's no way they're going to close. I mean, they may decide to close anyway, but there's no way they're going to take this without the U.S. They can do without the UK, but they can't do without the U.S.
The U.S. approval, yeah, because
So, do you think that? How do you think this is going to go down? Do you think that the injunction is going to happen, or do you think it?
Personally, I doesn't mean diddle to me, but I think it will. Okay, so will it go down? Let's see. So I think it probably will go down. Only because, Microsoft's good at crying. But on a very serious note, I hope it doesn't go down simply because of the discussion we're having here. Like, if any other acquisition was happening, this wouldn't really be a case. Not because they're Microsoft, it's because other company acquisitions don't get into the situation. Sega acquired Atlas. That didn't happen as much. Square Enix and Squaresoft made a merger. They merge each other like they're brothers now. Good times. I feel like Microsoft's acquisition hunger is going to be very dangerous in that degree. And that's the part that scares me the most about it. So it's like, it could, because, we're America, we always, do stuff. But I feel like it's probably going to go through, maybe. If it doesn't go through, praise the Lord. But if it goes through, then the second wave of arguments and station will be down the line. Because it's like they keep saying, we promise. And then, we've seen how they reacted to everything in the nutshell. So it's like, that's just how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't, like I said, I think I've said this on the podcast too, but I worry about it because it is going to start a chain reaction.
Right. And
if this happens, it's gonna it's going to cause Sony is going to start looking at who do we acquire now.
Not
right?
really.
And
That's gonna that will happen, but it will also begin my biggest fear too: the simplification of gaming, make it more monopolistic. And this strategy was done before in the past. I think I mentioned on the previous podcast. I'm not sure it was
EA
done by
did that
EA.
a lot.
Yeah, EA, and EA crumbled because of this. So it doesn't work. Like, just let it be, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, just don't do it, please. I'm begging you, don't do this. I have a wife and
even
kids.
if it's split between, like, let's say 5 companies, it's still going to be a problem because look what already happened to Embracer.
Exactly.
And all it takes is for one wrong thing to happen, right? I mean, you can say what you want about, Microsoft's too big to fail or whatever, but
no one's too big. No one's too big to fail, man. No one is.
Yeah, they said it themselves that Xbox is a company within Microsoft. So if it ever got to the point where, let's say, Microsoft goes through another spell where a lot of this stuff doesn't hit, like, it looks like they're finally getting the dominoes on a road. 2024 is going to be the year where a lot of these games are going to come out that they've been working on for a while. Let's say a lot of these are kind of just, they come out and none of them really become these big talking points outside of Starfield. I don't think Microsoft's going to keep going, oh, yeah, we need to acquire more. They're going to look at it and go, yo, we gave you a lot of time and none of this stuff is getting what we want.
100%. And even Starfield's having his own issues with the NVIDIA thing and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, look, man. But yeah, it's like there's only so much you can, like, roll through. And that's the thing, right? I think, in my opinion, like, some people believe, well, Microsoft should be a service company. Microsoft is a service company. Their main branch, the one that sells the Office and the system we're using now, that is a service company.
Yep.
Like, convert that to gaming, that's a whole different thing. Then you'll be competing with the other guy, my favorite man, Gabe Newell, the master of the Steam sale. Right. Yeah, you can't compete with Gabe Newell. Yeah.
Which, hey, that's going on right. That's going on right now. If you,
some good stuff, man. Hell, even selling a Steam Deck on sale. I might even get on that. I need a Steam Deck, but in a very serious situation, right? It's like, I do believe this next year will be the breaking point for Microsoft, and, like, this, whatever people feel about it, whatever, is that if all their games are coming out, most of the projects they're working on is happening, right? Can they solidify themselves in a position to make the good stuff? Can they win over the markets? Can they expand to new markets we discussed before? Can they change that we discussed, such as, the Xbox Game Pass being more accessible to user interface with better recommendations for people who play certain types of games? Can they find a way to create a tier system to create better value for the games within there, like, tier 1 normal and tier ultimate, get both, things like that. This is the hard times for them, and every gaming company has went through hard times and things came out of it. Nintendo's hard times was GameCube all the way through Wii U, and with that hard times they learned to make the Switch, if not the most successful Nintendo console since, I could say, Super Nintendo. Sony's hard time was PS3. And then the era of the PS4 happened. Hard times. They learned the mistakes of, if we over appeal to the West and don't have online capability, we're going to be left in the dust. That happened. So this is Microsoft's hard times. And hard time blues are coming through. And if they don't learn anything from this, there'll just be another What Happened video by Matt McMuscles. I mean that. It would be What Happened?
Yeah, you're not. I mean, yeah, they're in that tough decision, situation whether they get this or not. Obviously, they want this to be able to kind of leapfrog a lot of that hard times that you're talking about. They want to kind of thrust themselves into the forefront now. Hey, we got the biggest freaking game in all of gaming on our Game Pass day one. What are you going to do? You're going to pay your $17 a month, or are you going to pay $70 to own it on your PlayStation? What? That's the thing. And I do think it's going to go through, because I do think they did a good enough job, and the FTC did a stupid enough job of really not proving why this is dangerous to the consumer.
Well, the thing is, like, the FTC is a fuddy-duddy. It's what it is. It's an door. The Microsoft case, like we broke it down. They made some really, really bad, like, choosing argument, decision, whatever. But the only thing that we learned from Microsoft is that they're in, like you said earlier, they're in hard times, and hard times is making people do some crazy stuff. So so I don't know what they're going to be at. Maybe we should try expanding to the rest of the planet. There's more people in the U.S. and Japan. Just saying,
Yeah, that's true. We'll see what goes down on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever the judge makes the decision. And then obviously, next week when this show's on again, we'll see who was right on that. I'm sure that will be an explosion on the timeline when it happens if we don't reach our character limit by the time the limit. The view limit. I'm sorry. Yeah, the
rate limit. Yeah. Thanks, Elon. You're the best. I swear. And by the way, I love Twitter for many reasons. Indie devs, my art stuff, manga. I love
networking.
Finding out new yeah. If that dies, I'll be upset. And the sad part is I'm considering like making a Tumblr to go on because I know that.
And it's sad because like the best alternative is still in like beta invite form. So.
What's the alternative?
Yeah.
What, Blue Sky?
Blue Sky, yeah. That's the one everybody's going to that I keep seeing on my timeline. I guess Hive is also the other one.
Interesting.
So, but those are like nowhere near. I guess Mastodon as well, but that thing's on
Mastodon. Yeah, Mastodon reminds me of like old programmer websites from the
that
from
thing.
The 80s.
Feels like a forum thing because you have to be on like different servers depending on where you want to be, and that seems kind of very counterproductive to what Twitter is, where we're like all on the same thing.
That is exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. But it's like one of those old school professional development kind of websites kind of thing. But yeah. Oh man! Speaking of which, man, if you don't got anything, I thought you wanted to ask me some cool questions about.
Yes, I do. We got into this, and I definitely we're gonna get into that right now before we get into the rest of the stuff. Just kind of wanted to get that stuff out of the way there, just in case we got any new people or whatever. But so I always like to kind of every time we have a first time guest, which you've been on technically like a E3 2021 like roundtable thing or whatever.
I was,
but that's like way back in the day. There's probably a lot of people that don't even remember that I did. We did that for like a week or so. So like kind of in a getting to know you sort of way. How have you always been a gamer from the beginning? Did you have somebody that kind of got you into games? Did you have like a first console that you played?
I've been a gamer since I was like about 5-6 years old. My first console was a regular NES Nintendo, the regular Nintendo, and I got it through my old man. My father wanted me to play games, and it was then on. And I've been playing games with him throughout the ending. It was because of him I got through Virtua Fighter, point-and-click adventure games, because he wanted to learn English and help me learn English, etc. It was a really good time, and I played almost every console up to modern era. So I played NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I didn't have a Sega CD, but I played Sega Saturn because there was really no difference. Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, Xbox 360, the best day of my life. I love that commercial. It's my favorite commercial ever did. They need to bring that energy. That is when Microsoft was fun, and they need to bring that energy. Who was for songs that they need to bring that. That's my thing. I had a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. My brother has a PS5 I play at his house. I've been on PC, but I mostly game. Like, if you want to, I mostly game on PC now. Like, I've been moving a little away from PS4, but I'm mostly on PC now because all my indie games are here. Switch as well. I gave up. Nintendo GameCube was the worst experience in my life because there's only no games for it at the time where other people were making games. So like GameCube was like less than 10 games, so it was good and play it. So it's like GameCube, and then the Wii. I did not like the Wii. I think motion controls video games are not fun. That's not my jam. And I gave up on it. And then Switch came around, and Switch was okay. The Switch is fine. But yeah, I went through Nintendo's dark era, and it's like watching young people like Nintendo, they're number one. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Nintendo has some dark times. What are you talking about? This is how you know I'm old now. Like, holy snap, revisionism is real.
Yeah, just because everybody and their grandma was playing the Wii doesn't mean that we were in the amazing times there. Yeah. But as far as like, the games that came out and everything. But and you kind of answered all of my questions for that. But, I know you love your fighting games.
I'm up there. I grew up with them. That was the arcade days, man.
I mean, what are I guess some of your favorite fighting games? I know you play a lot of King of Fighters now, but
Yeah, KOF, Samurai Showdown. I love Arc System Fighters. Those are my favorite. But other genres I enjoy roguelikes. I enjoy platformers. I enjoy point-and-click adventure games or visual point-and-click adventure games. I enjoy RPGs a lot. You may have heard me joke on the YouTube channel, like play Tactics Ogre. I know a lot about RPGs, way too many. I grinded all of them into oblivion to a point that I know, like, when people are BSing, like someone said, I didn't. Oh man, like there was this horrible. This is probably gets your second question, because I know you want to ask me if I ever read gaming magazines as a kid, and I did. There was this magazine called EGM, and at the time they did a review for Dragon Quest V for PlayStation 1, and they were comparing. Oh, it's just so crap. It's so slow. Like freaking Chrono Cross was a Chrono Cross. Oh, Xenogears. So Xenogears is faster and better. And me, who plays Xenogears and beating it like religiously as a teenager, like, no, Xenogears is just as slow, maybe even slower than Dragon Quest. What are you talking about? And this is how I know that this guy was told the game was good, and there was stuff behind it, which, no brain cells, and empty.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes because you had to get a game out or a review out for the very early edition of the magazine, the way that they got information wasn't always
was
best.
accurate.
Yeah.
No. And the sad part about it too is, like, a little off topic ish, is that when Yoshi P made a couple of months ago talk about how the West is biased towards RPGs and games he made because he hated the term JRPG, which he's right, by the way. All the older Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest in RPG games were made off D&D and Western aesthetics. None of it was purely Japanese until you think of Final Fantasy VII. But even then, Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 9 are with Western aesthetics. We the one who do Japanese on it, because we didn't and he was right in that regard. So it's like, yeah. And then, lo and behold, what happened? It was just way early in the podcast. We're like, oh man, I can't believe Final Fantasy is not turn-based anymore. It's, what are you talking about? Like, you don't play RPGs, do you? Like, there's still way more out there. And you could play the older Final Fantasy games that are still turn-based. They're not giving up on turn-based. It still exists. They have the whole plethora.
Yeah, they just had Octopath Traveler 2 come out this year, one of the best games of this year. I mean,
yeah, so it's like, it's it's one of those. So it's like, I always hate that, but my favorite genres, it's like, I love platformers, I love point-and-click adventure games, I love fighting games, I love roguelikes now. That's really changed how I look at game design and everything, because roguelikes have taught me what is balanced and what is unbalanced, or how balancing games work. Would you like to hear about, like, the difference between Hades and Enter the Gungeon?
Sure. Why not?
Sure. So in Enter the Gungeon, when you use the premium money to unlock weapons and abilities, they get thrown into the dungeon, into the pool of items you get, which dilutes the pool, making your car runs actually harder to win, right?
Right.
Enter the Gungeon is a much harder game, because a good roguelike, or roguelite in my opinion, is that your base skills can win the game. Meaning that if you don't roll lucky for items or abilities or things, your base skills can still take you to the end. Hades, that's done very well. Even if you roll all the weakest gods or weakest effects or choose bad on purpose, you can still beat Hades in the end. Because the basic ability of your character and the skills they have is just enough. Like, I remember people saying in the early access days when I was speedrunning and playing Hades that Aphrodite is weak. I don't think Aphrodite is weak. She has a good combo ability. She's something to add with something else. But I was able to win with Aphrodite. Aphrodite can only weaken the opponent, but that's just enough to win. Even when Aphrodite was considered the weakest quotation mark at the time, you could still win the game. And Enter the Gungeon, if you don't get a powerful, like, burst weapon or an ability that helps deter damage, you're probably gonna have a hard time. And by you going to the shop and adding more items to the pool, you can put in your head thinking it now, I'm diluting my chances of winning because I'm praying I'll get these items. It is not like you put an item in and you could choose to remove an item out, so you can have your chances of winning go up. That doesn't happen. While in Hades, all the choices you make to get powered up are relative to your power skill, and there's tons of ways to gain power courses through palms and boons and other upgrades. So Hades, good balance design, Enter the Gungeon, a fun game, balance design is very more difficult. It's much more unfair in that degree. So by playing roguelikes, I have a much more understanding of like balance design in games like that. Hell, even in card games. So it's really good. Like, because I always have like a love of balance design and game design in games. Like, why does this happen? Why do people do that? And that's been my my change since I've been playing roguelikes. I've been learning more about things like that.
Yeah, I'm still kind of coming around to roguelikes, but card games totally there with you. I like, Slay the Spire. I play Marvel Snap like every day. So
Ben Brode makes good card games. He used to work on Hearthstone. He makes good card games.
I used to love Hearthstone when it first started. Then it became like it's too much.
That's where I remember Ben Brode left. Yeah, but he makes it. Slay the Spire is fun. There's other card games I recommend. Power Chord is really fun if you like that. I would recommend it. It's pretty fun. It's probably on sale on Steam right now. Power Chord is a really fun card roguelike. This one is based on a party system where you have 4 party members you build. Each of them have their own combo abilities or abilities together, and you put it together like a really cool deck. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really loving Winter Othros. She's a new character. I'm really loving her because she's a 2-form character, so you play for stances, and then you can figure out what you want to do with her. I think that's cool. You have a character like Ember, who's a DPS character, but she has a huge draw side. Every card you play with her adds heat. Heat increases the damage. If you get too much heat, you get overheat. If you have overheat, that does damage to the player. So to prevent overheat, you might play cards that remove overheat, or you have the cards that add vapor charge to protect you from overheat. It's a really cool mechanic. Like, if you like Slay the Spire, I think you also like Power Chord. It's a really fun game.
I have to try it out then, for sure.
Yeah, but
no, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you got any other questions, gaming? Because I can go on tangents. I really love video games. You can tell. Yeah.
Yes, you definitely do. And I love that. I love having people on that love video games. So that being said, you've gone from playing games to now you create content about games. Like, what made you kind of want to do that? Obviously, you've been with Outer Haven for a while. Like, so.
So what made me want to do that is around, I would say, the early 2000s, 2010 is I realized like there wasn't a space for people who like games that I like or play games that I play. And I started making content about that. And I wanted to get better and better. And here I am now. I really wanted to like do that because I feel like gaming world is just bigger than FF14 and Microsoft business transactions. And there's so many developers out on the planet making games. As I mentioned, Pocket Bravery, a new fighting game from developers from Brazil. And there's like another there's tons of developers out in the East making these really interesting games and whatnot. And it's like, it's a big world, a lot of games, try something new. And I want to like facilitate people trying and learning about new games. Because there's always something new to play. I think it's really cool. Like recently, I've heard people I don't like Borderlands anymore, right? Which is fair. But after Borderlands 3, it has been a rough ride, okay?
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, what are other games like Borderlands that's fun besides there's more co-op shooters? And I'm like, oh, Gunfire Reborn. It's a roguelike and a co-op shooter. That's really fun. People could try that. And and I'm playing it a lot lately, so it's really fun. I got DLC, everything. So it's like, my thing is that I want to put more gaming space and maybe get people to things that I like and maybe have a conversation with them about it in ways. That's got me into like being from a gamer to a content creator about gaming, because I really do like indie games. I like the games I play, and I want more people to know about them, because not a lot of people know about the games I play. Like I'll be honest with you, you just heard about Power Chord like today, and I've been playing Power Chord for like 6 months.
But hey, see, that's the point though. Like you got me into wanting to play this. So imagine you can get more people that haven't watched you to play it.
No, that's the whole. And that's the whole thing. Why I stream and do stuff like that, and that's pretty much it. I want to like help put more knowledge in the space and help people have other options outside of getting mad at AAA game not being their AAA game. And I'm like, just play. And I do mean this. Just play something else. If you don't like Pokemon anymore because Scarlet and Violet's bad, play Cassette Beast. That's a good game.
Play Cassette Beast.
Play Shin Megami Tensei. Play Temtem. These are other games that do the same thing. Please try other games out. And that's the thing I hate, that internal laziness that comes from these people. Like there are other games out there. Just try them. Here's try them out. There's some people playing them. Try it.
Yeah, because I mean, we gotta understand that no matter how much we want sometimes that franchise to be the thing, it may never be the thing that you want it to be because
it's moved across the way. Like, and God, never say that to a Sonic fan because they hate the Sonic fans. They hate Sonic. They're not Sonic fans. But it's like guys, I get it. You have some weird hatred that you don't like Sonic anymore. This is other platformers you could play out there. Freedom Planet's pretty good. It's a speed platformer. Mm-hmm. Try that out. But no, they would do a whole bunch of things. So just try other games. It ain't gonna hurt. And with Xbox Game Pass, you may give it if you already have one. You give it's nothing to you. It is what it is from there. I just feel like just try something new. It's not gonna hurt anybody. No one's gonna lose a finger. You can and then learn about yourself, like what you like and dislike about certain games.
Yeah. That's the thing is there is so many games out there all the time on whatever platform you have. I bet you can find a game like what you like. It just won't be insert franchise here. It'll be called something else, but it'll have a lot of the same mechanics or be inspired by that game and it'll still be awesome. You just kind of got to get out of that mind frame of it has to be this
guy,
right? Yeah. It's that whole thing of this is why this is not a Final Fantasy game or whatever. Like, oh, well, it's not like this. It's like, well, the developer said this is a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, like what do you?
It is, and
what are you talking about? Like, this is Final Fantasy. Yeah,
I don't know what. It didn't have this, it didn't have that. Well, there's other games that do have that.
Yeah,
right?
As Trails Into Reverie, you like turn-based RPGs right there. This way, the Madness lie by where it's deployed. There's tons of them out there.
Dude, and if you play one, there's like 10 of them that you can go dig into after that. Like it's
there's a whole when they say a whole franchise,
Yeah, that's the thing is like be willing to try anything. I get it that we all have our favorite franchises, and okay, let's say that you're not like the hardest of hardcore gamer and you don't have time to try everything on, under the sun or whatever. But sometimes that's what you got to do to get that feel. That's what you wanted. Or you know what?
Right.
And maybe play a different genre. I don't know. That's.
Oh yeah, try something exactly. Yeah, I'm still here praying that Konami give me Suikoden 6. That ain't happening, but still waiting for that. But no.
Well, you'll get the remaster of 2, right? Or what?
So yeah, remaster 2. Yeah. I mean, the people who made it are making their own game. I forgot. I kickstarted it as well. Activision Chronicles. I bought the Ayuden Chronicles.
Yeah.
Ayuden Chronicles. Yeah, I purchased the first one. Still working on the other one. But it's like, it's something to do. Like back in during my this is personal, my edgy days. I would say F Nintendo, screw them. They'll make games for me anymore. Blah blah. But older I got, and it's like I still enjoy Nintendo. Right. I'm not a fan of the business practices. But they still make good games. I still think Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are really good games. I still think their remastery of Advanced Wars is one of the funnest things I've ever played. But it's like, sometimes you could just walk away as an adult and that's not for you anymore. And that's the thing. Like, I used to love Halo. I think Halo 2 and 3 are chef's kiss.
Yeah, I'm same here.
Every game out there is dog shit. I'm not even funny. It's just dog shit.
I mean, I really liked Halo Infinite's single player. I just didn't. I kind of felt like it didn't have the same feeling in the story that I got from the other games.
It just feels off. I feel like this is the perfect example of someone else should do it. But 343 is a whole can of worms. But it's it just went downhill for me. And it's like that's it. And by the way, do I go around on Twitter and Halo, man, they took my dad from me. I've been in the war. They broke in my house. They stole my computer. No. It's over. I don't play Halo anymore. It's not my jam.
Yeah.
Modern Halo doesn't do it for me. That's it. That's all you have to do sometimes. Just walk away.
Right.
I don't want to.
As hard as it is, right? Because it might be your favorite franchise or whatever. But
no, 100%. I'll say. Yeah, and it's like, bro, and that's the part in my opinion, gaming growing up, whatever. It's it's okay, but don't ruin the experience for other people. There are people in the D4 community that hate D4. Because it's not D2, and D2 is more skillful.
That's the one type of person that I cannot stand is the one that you'll go and say, "Oh man, I love this game." Here they go. oh, this game sucks. Oh, like, come on, man. Like,
come on, man. I'm right here.
Like, yo, like there are so many other things that you can be doing right now that's not hating on somebody enjoying this.
Right. I think about and the thing is like when they say like, oh, D2 had skill. D2, you were spamming 2-3 skills, almost sometimes certain builds in Diablo 4. Okay, don't talk about skill. All right, this is Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Diablo is all about how well you manage your cooldowns and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, come on, guys, don't lie to me. Come on, stop it. No. But it's one of those. It's one of those, and it makes me upset because it's like you don't. I'll put it nicely. You don't want to like I don't be edgy. Like yo, you could just let it go. It's okay.
Right.
It's perfectly fine. Like. One of my favorite, like I said, Halo. I love playing. Gears of War. I walked away from after the ending of 3. I just can't play Gears of War anymore, man. That's it. I'm done. That ending is too much for me, man. I can't do it no more. It's not happening. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, spoilers. This game's over. They killed Dom. I'm out. That's it. I'm out. See you guys. You killed Dom. I'm out of here. That was my boy. Yeah. You can't be killing my boy like that, man.
Spoilers to a very old game,
Exactly.
That I'm sure you'll get spoiled for you pretty quick if you actually try to go find out about the game anyway. So
right. But that's the thing, though. I feel like the older you get, your taste gets refined, things change, and it's okay to walk away from a genre, but don't ruin the experience of other people. There are tons of people who enjoy this stuff in different ways. Like a true story, right? I'll before you get to your question, because I'm going to talk about it. Do you know that there are tons and tons of Sonic fans that enjoy Sonic because of the comic book by IDW? And the TV show and franchises, and they enjoy Sonic through that. And them liking Sonic Frontiers or Sonic Prime TV show because it reflects the content they like already. What's wrong with that? They're new fans. I mean, they're liking the series. That's great.
That's what you should be happy about, the fact that all these new people like Sonic, not that, oh man, you're not liking the right Sonic, so that's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like a lot more people should be grateful that people like the thing they like. If you don't like it anymore, just walk away. Don't cause harm to people unless that game really, really, really sucks. Like Redfall pre-patch, that game was just awful.
Or Never Dead. Don't go play that.
Never. Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. We're trying to run you're trying to run a family-friendly podcast here. Come on.
I had to review that game. I know exactly what you're talking about. So that was an era when you actually really had really, really bad games that would come out on a console, and you had to, So that's the thing. People should be really. That's one of the things I will say. Getting to my last question I have for you, and this is that I feel like I'm always excited about games today because we're never going to go back to the days where we really got some terribly atrocious games. Almost every game that comes out now, they have to be fundamentally good, because if you don't buy it or you're not interested in it, that studio's probably going to go away, especially for indie studios. So like they can't just put out a game like that anymore.
That.
So like for you, like what is, I think you kind of already talked about it, like just having so many indie games or whatever that you can play now. But when you look at like, I guess where gaming is now compared to when we were growing up, like what is that thing about gaming that stands out to you that like, man, this is why I love it?
I think I love it because the amount of people who make games and enjoy it, and the space we have. We're in such a great franchise that you can be a retro gamer and still have a good enough and still enjoy yourself, and also be a modern gamer and enjoy yourself. The diversity of gaming has been great from people who make it, the characters system, the storytelling. It's great. That's what we love about gaming. I think gaming where it's at now is good. It'll be better. The only thing we have to worry about gaming is the businesses that make the decision for it. And, go back to Microsoft. Regardless if you're anti or for Microsoft, this is a very big deal and could be scary for many people. And we have to hope the best happens.
Yeah, well, like I said, the time will come very quickly for what's going to happen with that and how that will affect, gaming going forward after that. Because Microsoft's not done acquiring and Sony will not be done acquiring, and this forced Nintendo to get involved in the acquiring game as well.
I doubt it. They already have their own internal thing. My thing is that what we need to do, this is my opinion, this is the true opinion, is that we need to have better safeguards and checks to make sure that no one becomes a monopoly. That's the only thing that happens. Yeah. I don't mind them buying studios. Hell, it's part of the industry. If Sega didn't buy Atlas, I don't think Atlas would be as big as they are right now. Or these bigger than they are right now.
Wouldn't.
Exactly. So these things, they have beneficial to them. They're fine. The thing is that we don't want no one to be a monopoly, or at least have dominant control of a certain area of the business.
We don't need like a Disney of gaming. We don't need that.
Disney
where
or
they
Warner
own
Brothers
everything. Yeah,
right.
I mean, even Warner Brothers
Gaming.
by now, even Warner Brothers right now is like trying to sell off half its movie stuff because they're trying to get rid of, like, they did so many mergers and all this stuff with their properties that like they don't know what else to do to get
right. They got too big.
Yeah,
they gotten too big, and then there's a possibility they will fail, which we discussed earlier, the EA strategy, whatever. It's like, you mentioned earlier, Microsoft can't be too big to fail. That happens. We can't. I don't want people saying that, and I agree with you 100% on that. Because if we start believing that, they're too big to no, that's the perfect time they can fail. They would
exactly.
They're going to drag us all into the ground.
It's good for Microsoft that they're kind of in this, bad times or whatever, or in this
hard times. I use the term.
Hard times is they're having to realize like, we actually have to like put our foot to the pedal and be coming out with a line of games that's actually really good. We can't have another year like we've had a couple of last years,
right? And
where it's like nothing comes out,
Right, and hard times could make good things out of. Sometimes it could help, because the hard times that Nintendo went through made the Switch, and they learned a lot of things. They cut their own salaries to make people work so they can learn everything they learned up to that point. They learned handheld gaming is good. They learned that people like accessibility, and they learned that, not to be mean, they could charge an arm and a leg as long as the game is top notch. They learned that.
Sometimes it's not necessarily top notch, but they still charge arm and a leg. But they can do that because they're Nintendo and people.
Well, their IPs can get away with it. I would be polite as that their IPs. But yeah. So what Sony learned is that maybe multiplayer games isn't for us. But you know what's good for us? We're good at single player. We're good at having.
I don't think they learned that yet. They haven't learned that yet.
What are you talking about? God of War, that was great.
No. They learned, but now they're going the other way. And who knows how many of those live service games are going to fail before they realize.
Wait. Besides Foam Stars, what a live service game they got? That's the only one I'm aware of. Foam Stars.
The marathon one from Bungie.
Wait. You mean no? Isn't that that's for everyone? The parkour racing one. I'm thinking
Destruction All Stars or whatever.
Destruction. Isn't that Nickelodeon?
No. That's that one that came out like at the beginning of the PS5. That one also failed.
Oh yeah, good times. Yeah.
But no. They remember the last showcase. They showed like 4 different live service games that are coming.
I only remember Foam Stars. That made it independent. So that means that
that's Square Enix. That's not even them, right?
Yeah, that's gonna.
So one of them is like Concord from the Firewalk Studios. You got the Fair Games one from Haven that they just bought as well, and then they bought Bungie, and then Bungie's making Marathon, which that's going to be on everything. But still, that whole thing is Sony's trying to push this.
I don't know if they own Bungie, but they probably just commissioned for the game, which is a standard tactic they did. I mean, Mr. Ryan admitted that what they do, like anyone else does, like we pay the people to make the game for us, and then it's free for a time period, and then we supply the revenue split in certain ways. I think that the revenue split they had was for certain companies is like 60-40 or 7-30 in the it's a whole math thing. Look, basically a lot of the FTC number stuff is nutty. Hell, I study Professor Lee numbers model thing. I'll probably make a podcast about that if I ever get asked that question. But yeah, Sony get into the fucking multiplayer space. Oh man, they never succeeded at it. They never have. Internally, they haven't. So it's. I wish them the best. I wish them the best. They never succeeded at it.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with that because, like you said, it's not their forte. They're trying to make it their forte, which kudos to them. But
I think they're just trying. I think they're just trying to like. I hate to say it, man. These Westerners love multiplayer games. Guys, stop.
They're trying to find a cash cow for themselves.
Oh yeah, because they're trying to find perpetuity. Like it's not like all seriousness. If you play FF14, on the Sonys, the money doesn't go to them; it goes to Square. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So like that's hopefully you learned a lot there about GetSelious here, and maybe you have the same interest in some of the games like he does, and you can let us know in the comments, or hit him up on Twitter, and maybe he'll give you some game recommendations for sure.
You can also catch me live on
That
twitch.tv/GetSelious.
exactly.
Yeah, my Twitter is GetSelious, so you can hit me up there. I also, post some other fun stuff up there too. But in general, yeah, if you want a new gaming recommendation, look at new games, you want to chat with someone who enjoys games like the level I do, just hit me up. I'm always here. I got nothing negative to say about video games except for what's this game here? Oh, right. No, I'm not gonna talk about
that game. So there are a few other things that are not involving the Xbox FTC deal that have been kind of happening this week. One of them is which has been a theme for ever since it's been before this console generation, but I feel like this console generation has been abundant about let's remake a lot of stuff and see which ones stick. Ubisoft has gone from we're going to give Assassin's Creed time off to we're going to just go all in on Assassin's Creed. There are currently 6 Assassin's Creed games of some type of development for Ubisoft, and the Assassin's Creed Infinity Hub thing. I'm guessing the VR game is also part of that 6 games or whatever that's being made. But like now there's rumors going around that there's an Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake in the works. Listen, Black Flag is my favorite Assassin's Creed, but even I could still play the original game because of the Xbox backwards compatibility thing. I don't know that I really want this.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think Ubisoft is just trying to milk themselves, and I think it's bad. Yeah. I stopped playing Assassin's Creed after the Ezio saga. I just didn't feel like I need to play it anymore. But It's like I don't. It's like, how to put this? There is a difference between reminding people about the old days, or trying to break up an old IP, or doing some sprucing.
Are you a fan of the Mirage game or whatever that they're making?
The Mirage, the platformer, the first person platformer. Those are kind of fun. Mirage, those are right.
No, that's the one that's supposed to go back to like the Ezio trilogy, right? The new one that they're making this year. Does that because they're going back to that time frame? Does that make you?
Nope.
Want to play? No.
The only thing that can make Ubisoft me care about them is they've released another Rayman game, because I played Rayman a lot.
Rayman is great.
Or they bring back, and I do mean this unironically, Prince of Persia. That's it. If you bring back one of those, I'll start paying attention to you guys again. Assassin's Creed doesn't do it for me, and Mirage it's okay. I played it once, so call me when you guys get me some franchises, and I'll be back on. I'll be back on the Ubisoft train, But other than that, I'll see you guys when I see you, because it's like
we'll see if eventually it does become too much Assassin's Creed. Even if you do have the time frame in between, whether it's a year in between or whatever, they were trying to stop annualizing this. They were trying to stop this constant stream of the one game, and they're going back to this again because they really don't have a lot else in their franchises that they can really count on now. And it's just too much. Yeah,
it's too much. The thing to me is like one of the gaming trends I disliked, and I will dislike to like a core to my existence, is the yearly cycle trend game. Because I've said it when I was younger, and I'll say it now. There's going to be a time where the quality becomes dip or becomes crap, or it just becomes recycled tier. That's what happened to COD. That's what kind of happened to Assassin's Creed for a bit. And I'm like, no. There's something special when you play these games. You can't just make it a yearly release. I understand it works for sports games because, it's a sports game. You got to have your latest football or basketball or football, by my homeland. But it's like, I get that. But it's like for certain games, there's a sort of je ne sais quoi when it comes to patience and making something cool and new, rather than just slapdash another mechanic or recycle old mechanics, And I knew that was going to be bad. The moment that started happening, I was like, oh no, I can't. Because not only it creates FOMO, it also makes it impossible for the gamers or the consumer to continue playing games at a steady pace. There's only like 2 games that's ever been continued ever that was designed that can be played forever. And I think it's, to a certain degree, MMOs and certain live service shooter games. Those are the only 2 in existence we have today that can do that.
Well, unlike Pokemon Go, I guess, right?
Pokemon Go is a live service game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like live service and MMOs. And I feel like these games who make it appeal to a certain set of people, and to be super fair, they're also pretty niche as well. Like people who play Final Fantasy 14 probably are not going to be the same people that play Elder Scroll Online. They're 2 different MMOs, man. They're not going to play them both. Exactly. So it's like it's a niche thing.
Not to mention, usually you don't have time to be playing both either. Like it's either you pick one or the other, and you go with that. Because okay, I'm done leveling my character in Final Fantasy 14. Okay, now I'm gonna go do it in Elder Scrolls. It's like,
I'm not doing that exactly. And then
you're gonna run into you're gonna run into like, oh, I'm doing the same thing syndrome kind of.
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. Exactly. You can't. You're just grinding into oblivion, and I think that insults a lot of gamers' intelligence or people playing the games. It just doesn't work. And yearly releases don't work that way either, because it's like it devalues. It also devalues the game as well. Because I missed it this year, I'll just pick up when it gets good next year.
Yep, exactly.
See, devaluing games. It's all full circle here. Exactly. So it's not just the cost. It's also social and expectations, everything of it.
It's I did so. I'm a huge sports fan. As a kid, I always had to bug my dad about, oh man, Dad, I gotta have the new Madden. I gotta have the most latest Madden or whatever. And then it's like, as you get older as an adult, you start realizing like, oh, it's the same game. They just added some things, and
you
can start skipping the years, right? And I haven't played a new Madden in who knows how long, but I feel like I'm not really missing a whole lot because it doesn't feel like they've really changed that much, So I agree with you. Like the same thing, I reviewed FIFA 22 and 23, and the minute changes that they did between 2 games, I was like, okay, this is why I stopped playing yearly.
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo's on the Portugal team instead of being Madrid, whatever. It's and that's the thing about it. Like, I understand sports games doing it; it's fine, it's what it is. But for other genres doing it, it's like, no, it doesn't work. And this is one of the things I have a deep dislike about modern gaming, a little disappointing gaming, is that a lot of developers, I'll say publishers, not developers, sometimes developers too, but they look at it as a monetary thing, and they don't look at it as anything else, and they justify it. They even try to convince some of their fans it's okay to justify it. It's like, no. At the end of the day, you have to make a good game, and if you don't make a good game, that's it.
Yeah,
I got nothing else to say. Yeah.
Call of Duty is a perfect example, right? Like they have 3 studios that alternate making the newest Call of Duty game, and then they made it to the point where all they did was focus on Call of Duty, and like every studio they have is basically some kind of support studio or whatever for Call of Duty.
Exactly.
And then look what happens. You get crap like when they do go make a game, you get crap like Crash Team Rumble, and instead of letting them make a new Crash or some other original thing.
I get to try Crash Team Rumble. It looked cool in the commercials. That's all I could say. But the thing is, like, and then you have other issues of Call of Duty. I think you're aware of the hacker situation in Warzone, or all the older Call of Duty games that's available on Xbox Game Pass also have hacker situation that's not been fixed. And it's like, if I wanted to play Black Ops 2 online, prepare to get DDoS to oblivion by some random hacker from X country or whatever.
Whenever, what is it, Black Ops Cold War hits PS Plus tomorrow, get ready for that too,
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing. It's like, so it's like, I feel like the quality of Modern Warfare games have dipped significantly so bad to a point that I just wait until somebody confirms, hey, does the anti-cheat in this program works? Does it? Yeah, then I guess I'll play it. If it doesn't work, I'm not even gonna touch it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm not big on annualizing games either, and it's sad that Ubisoft has gotten to the point where they're gonna do this again with Assassin's Creed.
And I thought they learned from this some success of the last 2 games, but it's like I guess we don't learn.
Nope, they don't. And I mean, I kind of understand the whole. Okay, now we're gonna have the whole. Oh, we're gonna have one that's like the old Assassin's Creeds, and then we're gonna have one that's like. More like Valhalla and Odyssey and whatever, and we're going to keep alternating between that. That's actually sort of better than just, oh, we're going to make 6 Assassin's Creed games. Hope you like one of these. And it's...
what?
Yeah, it's like, what? You go, like, so let's say somebody doesn't buy any of these until whatever, like the Hexy one that's supposed to be based on the Salem Witch Trials. Like, let's say they skip the one that's based on Japan. They skip the Mirage one. They go all the way to Hexy. Oh, shoot. There's been like 3 other Assassin's Creed games that have come out since then. Okay. Like they're not going to go back and play those probably because who has the time? But
right. Yeah. I just don't understand because it's like, and I do mean it seriously. I don't understand because it's like Ubisoft has not been in the okay position. I think the last Watchdog game did not get any buzz.
No.
It didn't get any buzz. So they went back to the drawing board and started making some decent Assassin's Creed. Like, okay, you guys are learning something. And then, it's 2023. We learned absolutely nothing. Me, guys.
Yep. I mean, I give him credit for like continuing all these games that you thought were going to be dead, like The Crew and For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege is still going around, and even The Division and all that. Like, I give him credit for continuing those things, but it's like, I don't know, maybe continue it instead of just making a million Assassin's Creeds, but whatever.
Here we go. Here we go.
That being said, go ahead.
No, that's it. Here we a million Assassin's Creeds. Here we go. Like, that's it. Yeah.
For sure. I did mention being a big sports fan. So like when I saw this, first off, I thought it was like a mobile game because I saw it on my phone, the trailer a bunch of times. I didn't know it was a trailer I literally thought, okay, I'm just watching them do a commercial for a mobile game. And then all of a sudden I kept looking through and then it's like, oh, this is from the same team that made NBA 2K Playgrounds. The first one, not the second one that was made with 2K. And then, oh, hey, it's called Wild Card Football. It actually has the NFLPA license in it, so it actually has the players and everything. Count me in, right? It doesn't have the NFL license, but I loved the first NBA Playgrounds. I loved like NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, all that stuff growing up. So like having a game like this that kind of the only thing we're going to get is close again to NFL Street. So yeah, I love the fact that this exists. It's coming out this year, October 10th. So I'm pumped to see this come out. I don't know. Did you like arcade sports games?
I love arcade sports games. NBA Jam, NBA Street. I didn't play NFL Street, but I did love I did love the basketball NBA Street. I did love some of the arcade hockey games. I even love I would consider a sports game. Windjammers. I'm a huge Windjammers fan.
Windjammers, I love too.
I love Windjammers too. That's great. Please get that if you haven't already. Love that game. But it's like I do love arcade sports games. They're more fun than arcade realism games to me because they could be so wacky. There's so many things you could do with it. But yeah, I enjoy arcade sports games. I'm looking forward to them. There's even a couple of indie ones called like Street 21. That's okay. If you a little plug here. So myself and Sif Scott recently had a chance to play the demo to Robo Dunk. It's a arcade robot basketball roguelike game. Really interesting. Check the YouTube. They have a video on it. It's really fun. Yeah. You can Space Jam people, literally. So I think it's pretty fun.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Check it out. Check the YouTube. Just check it out. Just type in Robo Dunk in Outer Haven YouTube and you can find it. But it's like, but yeah, I love arcade sports games because they have so much freedom to be wacky, and I really appreciate that. How silly or whatever you could do.
Yeah, like get the big head, like freaking
big head, the giant ball.
Shoot shoot from the other side of the court and actually goes in and like it gets you like 8 points or something. Like it's all ridiculous, and you can just have fun with that. Love it. And a game that's not an arcade sports game, but it's a game that you wouldn't think it's it's a sort of has a sports theme in it. Pyre is also basically like
Pyre
basketball.
is
So
Pyre is oof. Okay, so my opinion, Pyre. So I love Supergiant games, but Pyre is their worst game.
Really?
Yeah, Pyre is because it's not as smooth as other games. Pyre has a cool story, but gameplay wise, not the best. Pyre is more like a weak man super dodgeball. Like you ever play Super Dodgeball? That's kind of what. Yeah, it's a weak version of that. That's what it is.
I'll agree with you there. I still like the story a lot. That's kind of why I guess it's
the story's great. Just the gameplay isn't. That's exactly how I can. That's why it's the weakest game, because it's like here's some really cool lore. Gameplay.
But that's amazing though. That indie studio has done so well that we're talking about. That's their weakest game, and they have so many great games in there.
Yeah, Bastion, Transistor, Hades 1. My only small disappointment is that they're making Hades 2, which looks very similar to Hades 1. And the reason why I have a small disappointment is because if you look at Supergiant's history, they always made a new game and a new genre every chance they could. So they're just going back to making action roguelike. And I'm like, I mean, you did well the first time, but that's my only.
But I kind of get why. Like, it was such a huge hit, wins Game of the Year. Like, you can't. It's all
cancer. You know. Like it's done everything. Like trust me, it's that. Yeah. Like I just talked about it before, but it has good balance design. Yeah, like trust me, it did everything it's supposed to do.
I mean, so like it's one of those like they just can't, and I understand why, but I agree with you. It's like that was the cool thing about them was that they always got the newest. They got a new game every time, and you knew it was like you knew it was going to be like an event when the game finally came out. So I guess to talk about something a little bit on the sad side. It's been a thing for a while. It feels like this year again has also sort of been a thing of we're seeing studios close or have to lay off people, or even the big publishers are laying off people constantly. The big tech companies are laying off people. Niantic is another one of these. Of course, they're the ones that make Pokemon Go. We talked about them earlier about being a live service game that's kind of like a forever game, just keeps going. I have friends at work that they play this still, and they're in their 30s and 40s. So they had to let go of 230 people. They had to close down the NBA All World game, which is the NBA version of the the AR stuff. They canceled that Marvel World of Heroes game as well due to this, and that they're concerned about because mobile gaming is so competitive. And how they haven't really had that growth since Pokemon Go just went.
Oh
crazy.
No, it's that's the thing. So Nautica closed. I mean, it's bad to close people down. It happens. I feel like the reason why a lot of the industry is going in this direction is because I feel like the profit model or the idea of we can get more is kind of hard because again, live service games, even they have potentially infinite growth. It's not really infinite. It's impossible.
Right.
Sometimes they'll fall out of favor. Like the people playing Pokemon Go when it came out, like I would say the first two of its cycle, are not the same people playing it now. They moved on. People move on from mobile games. One of the biggest mobile giant companies this game is I think you're aware of them, Supercell.
Yeah, Supercell, huh?
Supercell, yeah. Supercell makes I like their games, they make good games. But it's like they can't be number one forever. Even themselves like admit they had, Clash of Clans and Clash Royale dipping, and there's even like changes in Brawl Stars to get people back. They're trying to remove the season pass, and now they're trying to bring back loot boxes from the old days of the mega box system to get people back. But it's like those, I respect them still in profitable business, but there's no way you're going to maintain the high end profit you had when you like launch at your peak. And when a lot of the people, the management people behind them, it's like, well, we're not that number anymore. I guess I'll fire you. Whoa, we're still profitable. Yeah, but we're not mega millionaires. You know how it is. Wait, you want mega millionaire money? I want mega millionaire money. And that's what I feel like. Like Nautica, and their other games haven't caught on. I guess because the people move some. I guess Pokemon Go IP, but it's so the mobile marketplace is very hard. I mean, even oh god, you're aware of this somewhere. This gacha games, if gacha games don't do well within 6 months, see you next time.
Yeah, Genshin has been huge, right?
Genshin,
and
Honkai Star Rail, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention that Honkai Star Rail is the next one from them that is doing bonkers numbers too. So it's crazy. You think you look at these console sales numbers and go, oh man, that's a lot. Then you go and look at when Honkai Star Rail came out and they go, oh, this many people played our game and downloaded it, and it's like, holy crap, that is an insane number, and that's the thing. They did that with Pokemon Go, and they started branching out to let's get all these other IPs and stuff. And then they realized that they can't hit lightning twice.
Exactly.
With any of this stuff, So as unfortunate as it is to see this happen, it's kind of that situation with the live service with anything is for every one Fortnite, you have 20 that just absolutely don't go anywhere, so Niantic is just hopefully learning that they kind of just need to get better at what they already have and not try to expand too much.
Yeah, they should probably focus on the games they have that thinking of money and do the best they can, because it's not much. There's not much I feel like they can do at this point.
Did you watch the Annapurna showcase at all? The Annapurna one?
Annapurna? I don't think I was able to watch it.
Well, they have, if people who don't know Annapurna, they basically have the souped up indie titles. The indie titles that they have obscure concepts, but they really work on it production wise because they're also a movie company as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they showcased a bunch of their games. Most of the time they work with developers and they publish the titles, but they also have the first game that they're internally developing, which is a Blade Runner title, the Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth, which I don't know if you're a big Blade Runner fan, but
I like the style of Blade Runner. I've just done too many games that are Blade Runner-esque now. There's a game called Slavic Punk that came out that's very Blade Runner-y, and I'm like,
obviously Cyberpunk in that same kind of thing.
Well, Cyberpunk is kind of the OG, because it used to be it was a tabletop game before it became a video game. But,
right. I will say I've been interested in Thirsty Suitors for a while, so I was glad that this finally got a release date, November 2nd. It's gonna come out on everything. It is coming to Game Pass as well. Cocoon is another one that has looked awesome every time I've seen it. And this one is coming out September 29th, so I don't know. And then they showed this one game which was interesting. It's called Totes, and it's this kid that's constantly in the doing a T pose, and he just basically goes everywhere with it, and you're figuring out how you can lift objects and do things with it. It's kind of interesting the way that they did this game. I appreciate when you kind of have cool concepts and let's see how we can make a game out of this kind of thing. And then of course Stray is apparently coming to Xbox now, so
Yep. Now everyone can play the Sad Cat.
Yeah, Sad Cat, exactly. So there's some good games to check out from there. A lot of that's coming this year, so yeah, worth checking out. It's 30 minutes, so if you like indie games, that's one to go look at as well. I know Ben and Namco had a thing, but I completely forgot to watch it. So
Ben and Namco. Ben, don't worry, we'll hear about it. I'm the only game that's relevant I'm looking forward to is Grand Blue Fantasy: The Rising, the update to the original game, which has more characters, and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I know people at Anime X. Yeah, I know people. I have some friends or people from the that had a chance to play at Anime Expo, so that's the only thing I'm looking for. That is probably my big title game I'm looking forward to. Oh, nice, both of them really. But so yeah, it's
Yeah, I kind of got a passing interest in the Biden Kaitos remasters as well. I know they showed that off because that's kind of when I started watching it. That's the first game they were talking about. I think they also talked about the Tenkaichi 4 as well. So I don't know.
Tenkaichi Find the Budokai Tenkaichi Find It complete. I'm just waiting. Look, are you going to add rollback to Are you going to add rollback to Street Fighter? I'm sorry, to Dragon Ball Fighters yet? You know, because Street Fighter 6 is rollback. So we're going to add rollback to that. That'd be great.
Well, let's see. Maybe they. I feel like that would have been an announcement. Or it would have been
it's been a rolling joke in the FGC for years. It's like, like don't worry, we're gonna roll back in Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't know at this point, man.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of it for the episode this week. Like I always do, just talking about some games that I know are coming out. Obviously, the big one that Scott reviewed and you've been playing, you mentioned it already, The Legend of Heroes Trails and Reverie, that comes out on the 7th in a few days. Also, if you have a PSVR 2, Synapse, which is a FPS with telekinesis powers, looks kind of cool actually. You can check that out. A indie 8-bit platformer that kind of has like challenge mode stuff in it. Garlic, and that's coming to everything. And then I'm not sure what it's called, GYLT. Or it was actually a Stadia, one of the few Stadia exclusives. It's like a survival horror game. It's coming to PC as well this week on the 6th. So yeah, not like, the biggest of games other than Trails, which I'm sure all of you guys are excited. Anybody that's a Trails fan, I'm sure has been waiting for this for a long time. So don't have much more longer to wait. Anything you want to promote? Or
as always,
else?
No. Game wise, I'm always trying some indie stuff. Check me out on Twitter at GetSelious. You can check me out on twitch.tv/GetSelious. I stream three times a week. My next stream should be upcoming soon. I'll probably be finishing Bleak Sword DX and playing some Gunfire Reborn once I finish that, hopefully. And I have a collab coming up, all that jazz. But yeah, follow me on my socials. It's going to be here. I know I mentioned a couple of times. I just play the games you enjoy, and don't be mean to games you don't enjoy, unless they're really, really bad. I mean, really bad. I mean, hell, that's my advice to anything. Because like for you, hey, by the way, I don't like Assassin's Creed anymore. Here you are, you're happy, like, it doesn't mean nothing to me. It's okay, you enjoy that stuff. It's all you, buddy. All you got.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's enjoy the games you enjoy, praise them. Don't be just hating on games just to hate them.
Don't hate on games you don't enjoy, just because that's too much energy. Again, unless they're super bad. I'm talking like glitchy, like clown fiesta video games. What was it? What was that game that came out? The Lord of the Rings, the Gollum game. That game.
Oh wow,
that's a fun game to clown on. That's fun. Go ahead, clown on them. They deserve that.
That was so bad that Daedalic stopped doing internal development.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
That
was a lesson we all learned. Yeah, exactly. So I'm okay with that. But thank you so much, Sean, for having me on. I hope to maybe come back in the future, can poke my brain about indie games and other stuff. And hopefully in the future, you'll stop by the stream or be featured on my stream when I play some cool indie games. I really think you would like a lot of indie games that are in my circle because you have a taste. I'll give you the whole souffle, your sandwich.
Well, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Go check out your streams. We'll see about being able to play with you on there. And thank you for being on with me. I appreciate that. And
yeah, no problem. I appreciate you adding me. And I hope all your listeners have a good time. Enjoy your day, evening, night, where you come from. And thank you so much for subscribing and checking us out.
Well, and definitely, again, go check out Twitch TV at twitch.tv at GetSelious. Go check out the Outer Haven YouTube channel and all of that. And for us here, make sure you like, subscribe, follow everything. If you do, you get everything we do. Go find us Video Games to the Max on the podcast side. And we'll see you later, everybody. Peace.
See ya.